For as long as the Legend of Zelda has been a franchise, the man with the evil eyes has been there, looming just beyond the horizon, waiting eagerly for a chance to clutch at the fabled Triforce. This man is driven by dark forces from beyond our realm to commit atrocities against the goddesses. It was revealed to us in the prequel Skyward Sword that his hatred has an origin, the curse laid upon the descendants of the bloodline of Hylia and the spirit of the hero by the Demon King Demise. Though this evil has taken on many incarnations over the entire history of Hyrule, none stand so prevalent as the notorious Ganondorf, the King of Thieves. Even though the man has been slain across every timeline, his influence is still greatly felt as the malicious Calamity Ganon wreaked havoc across the land in Breath of the Wild. But just when we thought the Gerudo Scourge was defeated once and for all, the trailer for Breath of the Wild sequel was released, revealing again that we are not yet rid of him. But how? What happened to the man who has been killed over and over again to continue to haunt Hyrule and enable his body to snap back to life after all this time? Are there any clues we can gather from his life before Breath of the Wild that may answer some questions about what's to come in Breath of the Wild 2? For those of you watching, both new to the franchise and veterans of it, we're going to delve into the story of Ganondorf and piece together any significant details from his history. Some of you have never heard of Ganondorf before, and others will already know the contents of this video by heart, or will already have your own theories. To those people, I ask for you to also watch the video in its entirety, as there may be something here you've missed or forgotten. And be sure to join the comments below to help others who are new to the series to understand. Here to join me today on this quest through the history of Ganondorf is the prestigious Commonwealth realm themselves. So you know this is gonna be a fun ride. And now, without further ado, allow us to present Ganondorf, the Journey of a Thief.
Ganondorf's story first begins in the game Ocarina of Time, the events of which we'll be covering more in depth in the partner video to this one due to the direct ties it has to Breath of the Wild 2. But in summary, as most of you know, at the end of the game Ganondorf is defeated twice. Once in the adult timeline as the sages seal him away after he is defeated by Link in his Ganon form, and once in the child timeline as Link and Zelda are able to convince the King of Hyrule to banish him from the world of light. However, there is one scenario in which he emerges victorious in the game A Link to the Past, which is a game that takes place after Ocarina of Time in the Downfall timeline, where Ganondorf's third story is revealed. It states in the game that the Great Thief actually slaughtered his own minions in order to seize the Triforce for himself, after Link inadvertently opened the door to the Sacred Realm for him. Once he had his hand on the relic, he wished for total dominance of the world, and thus transformed the Sacred Realm into the Dark World. The sages were successful in sealing him inside the realm, only for Ganon to eventually break free with the help of the wizard Aghanim. However, his plans are ultimately unsuccessful, as the hero of Hyrule defeats him with the Master Sword and restores the Sacred Realm to its former glory. We've just witnessed the death of Ganon. The games to follow this one in the Fallen timeline are all simply attempts from the followers of Ganon to resurrect him, all of which are stopped by Link either before he's fully resurrected or shortly after. What's peculiar about this is the fact that Ganon apparently can't be permanently prevented from returning, and that he's always showing up as Ganon and not Ganondorf. What could this mean for Breath of the Wild 2?
We'll get to that a little bit later on in the video. We've explored Ganon's story in the Fallen timeline, but what about the others? Backtracking again to the end of Ocarina of Time, in the adult timeline, when Link defeats Ganon and the sages are shown to have sealed Ganondorf away, he breaks out of his seal once again in the events of the Wind Waker, but this time, no hero rose to stop him. Because of this, he was able to easily capture the Kingdom of Hyrule, but was stopped by the goddess's flooding of the land of Hyrule in an attempt to seal him at the bottom of the ocean. This too proved useless as Ganondorf rose to the surface and began to build his army once again. It was then that Link, a young boy from Outside Island, sets off on his quest to find his kidnapped sister and ends up becoming the hero of Winds and defeating Ganondorf in the submerged kingdom of Hyrule. After plunging the fabled Master Sword into the skull of the Gerudo King, his body turns to stone as the Master Sword, Ganondorf, the King, and the rest of Hyrule are drowned beneath the ocean once and for all. The following games don't feature Ganon or Ganondorf, effectively killing him off in this timeline. In the final timeline that we're going to look at, the Child Timeline, Ganondorf was banished to the Twilight Realm after Link and Zelda are able to convince the king of his evil nature at the end of Ocarina of Time. Ganondorf's luck played out once again though, because he was able to use his own power of the Triforce of Power to convince the usurper King Zant into becoming a powerful minion of Ganondorf, and is therefore able to use Zant's influence to cross back over into the world of light from whence he was banished, where he proceeds to once again take control of the Kingdom of Hyrule. The hero of Twilight and Zelda are able to defeat him in the fields of Hyrule by running him through with the Blade of Evil's Bane, killing him. The next game in this timeline is Four Swords Adventures, which does feature a resurrected Ganondorf. However, due to the nature of the game being the only Toon Link stylized game in the Child Timeline, utilizing the Four Sword again and reusing the villain Vati, it is some Zelda theorists' belief that this game is actually not to be considered canon, but rather is perhaps a dream state of sorts that takes place in the mind of another Link. If Four Swords Adventures is not a canon title, or is canon but is only a dream state game like Link's Awakening, then Ganondorf doesn't return in the Child Timeline. What we then witness from the adult and Child timelines is the death of Ganondorf the man, who does not return later on in said timelines. Neither does the beast Ganon. Combining this strange pattern with what the Commonwealth realm covered about the Fallen Timeline a little bit earlier, what can we deduce from this that will help us understand Ganondorf's appearance in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer?
Back to my question from earlier, we looked at Ganon's defeat in the Fallen Timeline and also his continual resurrection, which is what we don't see in the other two timelines. But what's the difference here? Well, we don't actually see Ganondorf the man being killed in the Fallen Timeline like we do in the other two. We see Ganon the beast being destroyed instead. Now the two would appear to be one and the same as shown in several cinematics such as the ones from Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time, but the Calamity Ganon from Breath of the Wild and Puppet Ganon from Wind Waker both prove to us that Ganon is a form that can be completely detached from Ganondorf's actual body and move independently of it. They also prove that Ganon can be defeated without necessarily doing any harm to Ganondorf, but not the other way around. Now, another detail to remember about Ganondorf is that he's a rare being indeed. He's a Gerudo, which is a race comprised of only women, with a male being born only once a century, and that male becoming its king, which is a part of the Gerudo prophecy and lore that Nabooru speaks of in Ocarina of Time. In the game Breath of the Wild, we hear from Urbosa that Ganon was once manifested in the form of a Gerudo prior to his initial appearance 10,000 years ago, which we know to be true knowing Ganondorf, but there's never any mention of a male from the race having existed currently or since. If we assume that there have been no male Gerudo since Ganondorf, but we can still see Calamity Ganon is alive and active, does this mean that the Ganondorf from the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer was actually never killed in the first place?
We can only logically deduce from this information and what we see in the trailer that this Ganondorf was never actually killed but has been here, mummified, immobile but alive for a very, very long time, and that Calamity Ganon is his best attempt at breaking free from whatever spell the mysterious glowing hand has him under. The next question is, which timeline does this Ganondorf come from? Since we never see Ganondorf the man die in the Fallen Timeline, but we do in the two others, Child and Adult, it only seems logical to deduce that he comes from the Fallen Timeline. However, some do theorize that this is the Ganondorf from Twilight Princess, due to his chest possibly having a cavity in the same spot as Twilight Princess's Ganondorf. There is also this piece of original concept art that appears to feature Twilight Princess's Ganondorf standing atop a large floating piece of land. Now, I'm not trying to imply that Breath of the Wild comes from any one of these timelines specifically, but if you'd like to witness a recent theory of mine trying to explain the possible merging of the three timelines that does mostly line up with this theory, feel free to follow the link below, but only after checking out our other mind-blowing theory video that's live on the Commonwealth Realms channel right now. So what happened to Ganondorf? How is he still alive after at least 10,000 years of mummification? Do you have a theory? Let us know all about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thanks goes out to the Commonwealth Realm for helping out with this video and letting me help out with his.
Thank you so much for having me here, Mouse Nintendo Bandit, and also make sure to go and check out the theory we did on my channel.
Huge thanks as always to my patrons. You guys are truly the best of the best. Follow the links in the description below to find out how to get your name up here at the end of every video. video. And while you're down there, follow the other link to join my amazing Discord server and chat it up with awesome people like Gamma13 here. That's all I've got for you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. This is Masked Nintendo Bandit signing out. Peace!